Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to NewsNation. This is where right and left can come to be reasonable. President Trump is at Yankee Stadium right here in New York City, and the fans broke out in chants when he arrived, and the right kind this time. What's the chance that Bill O'Reilly thought those cheers were for him and not President Trump? You see him standing right next to him there. Now, why is the president in town? Because today is September 11th. I love the chant of USA. I always do. Who wouldn't? But I do have to wonder what it even means right now. 9/11, we all said never forget. Why was that the motto? To not forget how fragile what we have is, how real the threat is, and who the real enemy is. Fundamentalists, Muslim jihadis in that case. 24 years later, now we know that not only did we forget, but we are actually today, especially some of our young adults, more like the people who attacked us back then. We are becoming more extreme in what we say, and we express it more violently. Who could have imagined after 9/11 that terrorists would be homegrown Americans? Not homegrown Muslim Americans, just Americans. So many young people are drawn to politicians who echo the fundamentalism of the people who killed us. Maybe they haven't forgotten. Maybe they never learned from us because they didn't live it. We didn't teach that we can never embrace extremism and killing as a political act like some jihadi who globalizes the Intifada. But that's what we suspect we saw again yesterday with Charlie Kirk's murder, killing as a message. And the reactions to that murder show that nothing is getting better anytime soon.
Fucking animals! You liberal, progressive, deranged fucking animals.
You thinking that the left are animals and violent, and then now you suddenly want empathy for Charlie Kirk? Please.
They are at war with us. Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible. We're watching what they're saying on television and who's saying what.
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this. You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Now, you got to ask, MSNBC got rid of Dowd for saying what he said, but Fox is like giving an attaboy to Jesse Waters to saying that this has to be avenged. Does he know what the word means? Do these people know what they're doing, playing with this fire? Brothers and sisters, welcome to Thunderdome. Social media has become the ultimate cage match, magnifying mad minorities battling to show that the other side is worse. It seems Charlie's murder only means that now media is on the menu. And on that note, thank you for all the concern and the messages about his family that you sent me. And yes, of course, Charlie's murder changes things, at least for a while. Many in my role are vulnerable. Safety situations will change as we await some kind of retaliation or copycat. We got to believe there will be more because no one's trying to make anything better. I mean, look at the reaction even of the president right after it, saying this was the Democrats. We didn't even know who did it yet. We still don't know. It's one of the reasons we got to worry about what happens next. Who knows what that guy, or if it's a guy, whatever, does. Who else does he want to kill? Who was he working with? Who will try to copy it? The money right now is in picking a side and driving hatred on social media. That's what gets you paid. That's what gets you relevant. But know that there is a new price that may be paid, a fear that is going to heighten as long as Charlie's murderer is shockingly still at large. The manhunt for this guy is adding fuel to the frenzy. One, I don't know why everybody's assuming who this guy is and what he's about. I don't know why we'd set ourselves up to have a another truth tragedy. The two toxic sides are spinning conspiracies based on the unknown. This is what makes people lust for blood. And the FBI is not helping, sloppy investigating. And that fuels suspicions. Now, what are the main questions? Who could access a roof like that? Who had the means and opportunity to do it? Who could make a shot like that? Now, a lot of people who don't shoot are making it sound like this guy shot him from a mile away. This is not an unbelievable sighted rifle shot for someone who knows what they're doing. And there are a lot of people who have shot rifles and can do 100, 200, 300 yards. But in the universe of who they're looking at, who had that kind of experience? And by the way, add this to the list of things this administration promised to be transparent about and hasn't. Okay, forget about Epstein for right now. When are we going to learn about who tried to kill our president? Because it's been months and we haven't gotten answers about that. And now people are using that scenario, which was kind of similar to the one in Charlie's murder. And of course, they're using it. Is it the same group? Are they related? Now, the next question is about this guy, different than in the president's situation. This killer was able to just vanish. But then came this weird series of errors. He made it out of a place where they should have pinched him. Then they say they got him. They show us this old, bald white guy. Then they say it's the wrong guy. Then they said they had a suspect in custody. Then they said, no, he's not a suspect. It's just a person of interest. Then they let him go. Then they say they're close again. But then they put out a photo of the guy, by the way, who allowed himself to be seen on camera. So who's sophisticated enough to get up there, take that shot, get away, but then clumsy enough to allow this, evading all that security, but then this, and then planning it all out, but then leaving the weapon where it could so easily be found? And is law enforcement right about what was written on the bullets? Is this a copycat move from that last mass murder who wrote the stuff on all the different ammunition, remember? And how close can Patel be if they're asking us to help identify this guy? That is very rare when they have real pressure on someone. The last thing they want to do is put his picture out there and let him know. So now this video just came out that the Ring camera, Dusty, do you have the Ring camera that was on TMZ that Elizabeth had? Yeah. I mean, this guy matches the same description. What's the limp about? I don't know. I don't even know if it's a real limp. I don't even know if he doesn't know that he's going to be captured by this camera. I don't know. I don't know any of these things. But you do have to ask yourself, if the guy's walking right down the middle of the damn street, how come they haven't grabbed him yet, if that's who it is? So this part of the story is where we must begin. I want to get the latest on what we know, and this is certainly, right at the tip of the spear in terms of the latest understanding. Let's go to NewsNation senior national correspondent Brian Entin outside Utah Valley University, of course, the scene of the assassination. Brian, you know that video is out there. It does match the description. Are you hearing anything about if authorities believe that's the guy?
Well, just about a minute and a half ago during your monologue, Chris, FBI Director Kash Patel showed up here. His motorcade arrived. We knew that he was flying into Utah. He is now here on the scene. The question is what that means. There was supposed to be this press conference 4 or 5 hours ago, and everybody was ready, and then they came out at the last second, and they came to all the different media tents and said, we're not doing the press conference right now. Things are changing, but we'll have an update for you, and we never heard anything else. Now the FBI director is here. Is he possibly here to lead some kind of announcement, or is he here because they have nothing? We have no idea. But back to the video. This is the video from the neighborhood of the suspect. This is from the TMZ video. If we can put it up again, I want to show you. One thing I wondered, and you know a lot more about guns than me, Chris, but I wondered if could he be hiding the rifle in his pant leg, and that is why he is limping, because this is video of him on the way to the scene. Basically, he manages to get up onto the roof. And today the FBI told us afterwards. Oh, you think this is video? He threw the.
Hold on a second, Brian. You think this is video of him before the shooting?
Yes, there's video.
I thought this was
you can
him
see
after.
before and after, and no, there's video from before and after, and he's limping in both videos. But I didn't know. I mean, could the rifle be in the pant leg? Could that be? I don't know. I mean, that was just the first thought I had.
That's more for movies, and you'd never be able to bend like that, and you wouldn't want to walk like that any kind of distance. You would have a rifle in pieces to assemble, which would be much easier to do than this. I mean, is anything possible? Yeah, but the rifle he used, what we're being told it was, and what has that kind of capacity and single shot, likely bolt action capacity, no, I don't think that's what it is. But I didn't know there's video of him before and after.
Yeah, before and after. Basically, he ends up going there. When he leaves the rifle in a little wooded area right behind the university that I was over at earlier, and then he went
so
back
is that
into this
him?
neighborhood
Which one is him?
to get away. Whether he... No, that's not
Which
him.
one was him?
I don't know what part of the video we're playing now. We'd have to restart it.
All right, let them re-rack it. Where is he in the video?
So I'm trying to
Brian,
look here. We have to re-rack it from the beginning.
Is he right in the beginning, or he's there? Okay, and you believe that he's limping there too? I can't see; it was too fast.
No, this is not him. This is someone else. Now there he is. That's
right,
him.
Right.
See, he's not limping as much when he's leaving, Chris. That's why I wondered. You know, it was a different limp on the way there versus when he left. At least that's what I read into it.
I mean, look, it's possible, but I got to tell you, Brian. You know what my takeaway is, and you know. I've never seen them have so much stuff on somebody that's out in the public, but not have the guy. Usually it's in reverse. Like, we don't know much, maybe there's an image, then they get him, and then they release all this kind of stuff. This time it's like happening in reverse. I mean, is there a concern that they're doing a lousy job on the investigation?
Well, listen, the messaging has been confusing. You mentioned yesterday you've got a press conference where in real time the governor is saying they don't have a suspect and the FBI director is tweeting that they have a subject in custody, and then they have to come back later and say nobody, you know, these people we've been questioning have nothing to do with it. And even this morning, the police chief here said everybody leave those people alone, they have nothing to do with it. And then today what's interesting about the messaging is at the press conference they said we have great video, but we're not going to release any images right now unless we need to, and we don't need to right now, almost making it seem like they knew who the person was. A few hours go by, and they release the photo, which makes you wonder if they need the help.
You know, I got to tell you, and this is frustrating as a journalist, but this is why the men and women who do the job well never want to talk to us until they actually know things, is because they live in fear of exactly what this administration doesn't really care about, which is just keep driving it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. Doesn't matter. They'll always forgive us. Let's just keep going. You know, they love the sell, and Cash is all about that. And I believe if he's on scene, I do not think he's on scene because it's going wrong, Brian. If he's on scene, it's a good sign, because this is a guy who's looking for a victory.
Yeah, well, he's on scene. He just got here right at the beginning of your show. He pulled up.
Right. So let's do this. You keep in my ear if there's anything we need to know. Thank you very much for clarifying that there is video of him before and after showing this limp, and we were talking about what that could mean. Very, very helpful. That's the latest. Brian Entin, thank you very much. You're the man.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, buddy. Now, so what does all this mean? And am I wrong to judge the FBI as I am, that I see this as being incompetent early on? Someone I trust more than my own opinion. Retired FBI supervisory agent James Gagliano. Jimmy Jam, thank you very much for joining me tonight. First of all, look, you guys, you frustrate the hell out of us because you never want to tell me anything until you're absolutely sure. This administration does not work that way. And early on here, a lot of hiccups that's creating confusion that we both know is being used on social media as some kind of conspiracy.
Yeah, Chris, I don't take any exception with what you just said there regarding the messaging. But let's separate the messaging, and I'll talk about that. It was clumsy, where you have the Utah, Department of Public Safety director out there saying one thing, the Utah governor saying one thing, and then the FBI director rushing to get out there and to message this out on X. Now, look, I think what he's doing, you know how the course correction always happens? He's trying to be overly transparent, and he's trying to jump quickly into motivations. And Chris, you and I have talked about this for years. That has to happen organically. You can't chase the motivation. You have to chase the evidence. You have to follow it, and you have to keep a wide aperture. Now, moving that into the investigation, we're trying to reverse engineer it. You, me, other people in the media, we're trying to reverse engineer it. What does this mean? Why did they release this? Why didn't they release something else? They do have a plan, and that plan is generally predicated on a couple of things. One, they want to make sure there's no immediate threat to anybody else. Two, they want to crowdsource where appropriate, and they're doing that. There were 3,000 people in attendance yesterday, and all the cell phone data, all the digital exhaust I always talk about, the video footage that you were just talking to our reporter with, all those things have to be ground through, and then good old-fashioned detective work. So I think that's going on. I agree with you that I think that the FBI director and deputy director appearing out in Utah sometime today or sometime tonight or maybe tomorrow morning, that's got to be a major development, Chris. Could this guy be in custody? It's very possible.
Now, in terms of the performative questions, getting on that roof, making that shot, evading security. Let's deal with the first part, the impressive things first. Are you impressed by that shot? Every guy I know who I shoot with or not is saying, no, don't fall into the media trap. You guys don't know what you're doing. You know, you shoot skeet all the time, but 200 yards with the right kind of rifle in those kinds of conditions does not make this guy a Navy SEAL.
All right, so let's look at a couple of assassinations in the recent past. 1963, Lee Harvey Oswald, JFK, little over 100 yards from the book depository to where the president was. James Earl Ray in 1968, Martin Luther King, less than 100 yards. These are not skilled, trained sniper lanes. When I went to the United States Marine Corps sniper school, when I was assigned with the FBI Sausage Rescue Team, we shot out to 1,000 yards. Chris, everything from windage and elevation and the drop of the round from, the velocity lessening to gravity, all those things factored in. This was less than 200 yards with a hunting rifle with what appears to be a scope, probably a 10-by scope on it. I don't want to say it was an easy shot, but it wasn't something that you would look at and say, boy, that was a trained assassin. Now, let me say this. Was there pre-planning for this? Absolutely. Did he access the roof and secrete himself up there and not draw any attention and smuggle a rifle up there? Absolutely. Did he get off the roof and not be noticed when all the pandemonium and chaos is going on? Yes. But Chris, keep in mind, right behind the building where he was perched, there was an open-air parking lot and then contiguous neighborhoods. He could have just disappeared into those, had a vehicle somewhere waiting. And Chris, I-15, a major artery, is right behind that parking lot. So he could have been miles and miles and miles and miles away before police even responded to the scene. That's my take on this. So, could he have stayed local? Yes, but he also could have been a long way away in a short amount of time.
Also, how does it inform your suspicion in terms of his level of sophistication to let himself get caught looking right at a stadium cam and then walking through a neighborhood where he has to know that you're walking down the middle of the street? Everybody's got those doorbell cameras now. And what we're seeing right now, everybody watching, please pay attention. You haven't seen these before. These have just come out. And again, there's a consistency of what? This is a young male, okay? Apparently white, maybe Latino, but apparently white, could be Asian, who knows, whatever. You see the same thing I see. And he is wearing the same thing we've seen him wear, sneakers and that shirt with that flag and the same color hat in all the images we've seen. But these are the latest and newest. Seems to be in an external stairway. They have a parking lot or leading the stadium. So allowing all of these images to be taken, throwing the rifle in nearby woods, how does that inform who we're dealing with?
Well, I mean, Chris, technology and police science have come so far, right? This isn't the 17th or 18th century. It's not Jack the Ripper, something that will never be solved because it happened so long ago and we didn't have the kind of forensic harvesting for evidence that we do today. Look, the vast part of this urban part of our country is blanketed in cameras. There's not a spot in Manhattan where you can commit a crime and not have it be picked up on either a government camera or on a private camera. So, look, did he know where he was going? Was this an apartment that he had come from or was going back to? That's possible. But again, don't give this guy so much credit because he did something horrible. But Chris, look at it from this perspective too. You think that guy was aiming at Charlie Kirk's neck? No, this was a lucky shot from the perspective, just like the president being shot on July 13th in 2024 and being nicked in the ear was a miraculous lucky shot on the other end. So I wouldn't give this guy too much credit. And again, I understand and sense your frustration. I share that same frustration. Why is this guy not in pocket? Why haven't we wrapped this up? Because we're all accustomed to CSI Miami, where in 1 hour you wrap everything up from the crime happens, the investigation's conducted, and the adjudication takes place. And unfortunately, we got to be patient, Chris, keeping our fingers crossed that this guy is either in custody or we are right nipping on his heels.
Or certainly that he doesn't get a chance to do it again. Jimmy, thank you very much. Appreciate your expertise and your time, as always. All right, we're going to take a break now, 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Now, you'll notice I didn't ask a single question about motive. Why? Because it doesn't matter. All the reason to know is that you can use one side against the other. This is one of your guys. This is one of your guys. Murder is either wrong or it isn't. You either accept it or you don't. Now, how does this affect how we are going forward in this business? Podcaster Benny Johnson, all right, knows Charlie Kirk very well, is in a lot of pain after this assassination. What does this mean to him? What changes because of this in his mind? Benny Johnson next.
I will never sleep and I will never stop until this Marxist, bloodthirsty, radical, left-wing movement is ripped root and stem from our American republic and thrown into the fire where it belongs.
Benny Johnson's pissed off. I get it. His close friend was Charlie Kirk, and Charlie was murdered yesterday. Now, I want Benny to come on and talk about how he's dealing with this and where it takes us. Benny, how you doing?
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Yeah, listen,
how am I doing?
I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, not well, but this isn't a time for me to kneel and weep. There are other times for that. This is a time to stand upright and with a full heart carry on the legacy of Charlie and do our very best to nobly remember him, who is a generational talent and somebody that I believe is a true American martyr, a martyr for a cause. And that's exactly why I put it like that in that clip that you shared from my program in a near hour-long monologue of what's happened here. And what's happened here is something that you and I have discussed, Chris, quite often, which is the dehumanization of people in this country. We talked about how the New York Times just did that to me and my family the last time I was on your program. And this is something that has been done on a near daily, hourly, and second basis to Charlie Kirk. A massive target was painted on his back by repeatedly and endlessly calling him Hitler, fascist, Nazi, and every other ism that can be labeled to somebody who is simply a father to beautiful young children, a loving husband, an honorable man, and the single most noble man that I've ever known. And so when you do that to someone and then you radicalize your base and you tell them that they could go into the history books for killing Hitler, well, you can see how you get sectarian violence, a zero trust society, and political violence that we are watching rear its ugly and demonic head constantly against the right. And this is something that is that has to be dealt with. I believe it starts with the corporate media. Just hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated in a political assassination, which is exactly what this was. Charlie Kirk was going to be president of our nation one day. As somebody who knows him very well, I believe that in my whole of hearts. Van Jones was on CNN calling him a demagogue, a vile racist, and was continuing this up until the very hours he was shot. In fact, Chris, on MSNBC, after Charlie Kirk was shot, there was a guest who said that he deserved it, Matthew Dowd. And so
Matthew Dowd didn't say he deserved it. He said that this was the fruit of the poisonous tree of what Charlie had been saying and what he had been provoking. Now, look, Benny, I let you go there because
so he clearly got fired for
well,
it.
He got fired. He got fired, which is a counterfactual to your theory. He got fired, and by the way, I'm not in favor of people getting fired for what they say. It's tough. It's a tough call. I get it, but I'm so afraid of censorship that it makes it hard for me. I don't like what Dowd said. I would have chewed him up and spat him out if he were on my show and said it, which didn't happen with MSNBC. But firing him is the easy way out for MSNBC. But Benny, here's the one thing. I don't really care how we got here so much. There is a lot of blame to go around. I do not see you guys as victims. You give as good as you get. There is a lot of anger. There is a lot of exaggeration. It is all hate for profit on the fringe of this battling binary political system. My question is now what?
Charlie Kirk has never advocated violence ever. Charlie Kirk was only
I'm not saying he did.
A nonviolent, peaceful debater. He went into places where he knew he was hated in order to engage.
I agree.
Kindly and humanly
that
with people.
he was not about violence.
For you to say that it's the same thing,
hold on.
It's not, Chris.
Hold on. I'm not talking about it with Charlie. Benny, don't play games with me. I'm giving you latitude because you deserve it, because this was your friend, and this is scary, and it hurts, and it could have just as easily been you.
The dehumanization is wrong. It's wrong. And there's no question. But
Benny,
you'll never be able to chew me out, Chris, because I'll never dehumanize.
Benny,
if I hear that Joe Biden gets a terminal cancer diagnosis, I'll say a prayer for him. I'll say that I hope he lives the rest of his days painless. That's exactly what I said, and every person that I know and respect, and I know them all in my ecosystem, said the same thing. Not a single one of us celebrated. Not a single one of us celebrated Joe Biden's terminal cancer diagnosis. Now, I can show you a endless series of TikToks and celebration posts and T-shirts made celebrating this travesty. There is a fundamental difference of those who glorify death on the left, and it is demonic, it's sick, and it's dark, and it needs to be.
All right, but
it needs to be disavowed.
Benny, I hear you. But here's what I'm saying. Again, don't make it like I'm coming at Charlie Kirk. Okay, we both know that is not fair and it is not true. And,
well, don't make a moral equivalency between Charlie Kirk and Matthew Dowd.
I'm not making a morally equivalence at all. I never even said that, Benny. I'm telling you, you're a little triggered right now. Okay, I am not blaming Charlie for what he said. Did Charlie say things that he knew were provocative, that some people absolutely take as racist and divisive and wrong? 100%. He and I disagreed all the time about things. I'm saying it doesn't matter, because murder is never high ground, period. It doesn't matter what Charlie said to me. What I'm saying is there's plenty of blame to go around about how we got here. My concern is, will anything change for the better? I don't believe that's going to happen. But what do you think?
Well, yes, the corporate media ecosystem should stop calling people Nazi, Hitler, and fascist. They should stop naming just political movements.
So wait a minute. So
those
you want to
things, you should
censor
not stop
things,
using,
Benny?
you should stop using terms like that, because that's not what's happening.
But you can't.
These people.
But you
Trump
can't
isn't
make
Hitler.
people say or not say things.
Chris, if
I'm
you
not
don't
saying
see,
I
if
agree
you,
with the assessment.
Chris, if you don't have,
I don't
if you don't,
use that analogy, but you can't tell somebody they can't say it, Benny.
Chris, after President Trump ate a bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania, President Trump barely survived that assassin's bullet. There were Hollywood celebrities. There were major musical acts. There was a constant series of TikToks and tweets about how that shooter needed to go to target practice. We needed to get better aim.
Yes.
We need to find better shooters. That was something constantly
Charlie,
happening. If you don't see that as a major problem, if you can't disavow that,
I do.
which we must disavow it, and not
I don't disavow. I don't disavow it. I don't disavow it because that assumes I'm part of some code. I don't have to disavow it because I don't own it, Benny. These people are just as bad as. Here's the thing, though. I just think the only difference is the color of the jerseys. People who said that about Trump, who still say it, who said it about Charlie, who get pissed at me for being so sad about what happened to this guy and his family, they are trash. They are trash. But I'm telling you, the left doesn't have the market cornered on trash. And I'm telling you, Benny, a big part of the problem is this constant fight over which side is worse. What I want to know is what makes you better, and what will we see in that way after Charlie? Because let me tell you, he was much nicer than the rest of you. And you are a tough talker, and you are very aggressive. Last night, Fox had one of their main guys saying we have to avenge. What good comes from that? Who becomes about better? Who becomes about something other than wanting to hurt the other side?
I mean, do you want your daughter to end up like Irina Zastruka on that bus in Charlottesville? Do you want your sons to wind up like Charlie Kirk? Do you want a country where you're allowed to ride a bus in peace, or you're allowed to debate somebody? You're allowed to politically disagree with somebody without violence? Oh, you win the argument? Okay, I'll kill you. That's what's happening right now. And it's happening on the left. And that is a problem. It's a radicalization. It's happening on both sides. It's a radicalization.
It's happening on both sides.
Oh, really? Why wasn't there a bunch of...
You guys have selective outrage.
Why wasn't there a bunch of...
selective outrage.
There weren't a bunch of cities that were burning when Irina Zastruka got stabbed in the neck and left for dead in that bus. No cities burned. No stores were looted. No cops were attacked. That happened in the wake of George Floyd. Why? Because it was a leftist.
Well, hold on.
Because it was a leftist
movement. No, it wasn't. It was because. Hold on a second. That's not true. That's not, Benny. That's not true. I lived it. Okay, and that's not what it was. This is a bad analogy, and it's evidence of the problem. In what universe of virtue does comparing George Floyd to Zastruka? Nowhere. Nothing gets better by that analogy. All you want to do is say they are worse than we are at our worst. That's got us here, Benny. What gets us to a better place? If your answer is, well, proving that the other side is terrible, I mean, that gets us to a better place. No, it doesn't. That's what got us here. With a president whose inclination, when we don't even know who killed Charlie yet, which is suspicious and bothersome to me.
Yes.
The president says Democrats did it. You say Democrats did it. One, you don't know that. Two, even if you're right, Benny, what does that do to get us to a better place?
Well, wait a second. Hold on. I don't know who killed Charlie, and I don't think anybody does.
Me either.
As far as I know, we don't know the name of the individual.
You're blaming the left.
Whoa, hold on. I'm saying that there is demonstrable evidence that has been published for years and decades that has been dehumanizing. I myself have been a victim of these dehumanizing campaigns that say that people that you politically disagree with are not worthy of sympathy, that they're not human at all, and that you can do anything to them. And in fact, like, you'd be a hero if you got rid of them. This happens regularly. And Chris, if you don't want your child or mine to grow up in a country like that, and I don't, then you have to call out evil for what it is. And you cannot make peace with evil. And so you have
No,
to be
but
able
you mu- but you-
to say,
no, no, but
you have
Benny,
to be able
Benny,
to say these are
Benny,
radical,
I'm with
fringe,
you.
terrorist organizations
Benny, I get it.
that
I get
are
it.
violent.
I get the
Now,
message,
there's
but
an
you're missing
extension
the most
here.
important part.
There's an extension here
You're
to
missing the most
Minneapolis.
important part.
Now, you're a Catholic, and there was a
Yeah.
Catholic church and a bunch of children that were targeted by a
Right.
radical
Yeah, I know.
transgender who had a bunch of things scrawled according to the ATF. There was,
Right.
according to the Wall Street Journal, there was political iconography written on the shooter's gun and
Right.
bullet casings. I'll wait to see what that plays out to. I think it's still too early. I don't know exactly. I haven't
We don't
seen
even know
photos.
why the guy shot at the president
Exactly
yet.
right.
I don't know why Cash hasn't told us that. Benny, here's what I'm saying.
But what happened
I
in
don't wanna
Minneapolis?
but I
what
don't want to
happened in
keep going
Minneapolis
down that.
was specific.
Go ahead, finish
It
your
was a
point.
specific targeting. It was an anti-Christian
I agree.
targeting.
I agree.
And they
I
were
agree.
overt about it. They wrote about it.
I agree.
And
I agree.
So I think it's interesting that you and I continue to come back to this conversation that there is a spiritual element to all of this, and there's a darkness.
But Benny,
and it's uncomfortable to look at, but look at it. We must in order to defeat it.
I'm just saying, Benny, see it everywhere. First of all, not just on the other side, and don't forget what keeps your daughter safe, what allows you to protect, which is not only respecting the institutions that make up our constitutional republic instead of bashing them all the time and saying everything is corrupt when that is exceeding what is known.
It's overly broad.
Is
That's
that
not
you?
true.
Is that
Overly
you?
broad.
Is that? Of course, it's true. Of course,
It's
it's
overly
true.
broad.
But that's not the point.
We don't say that about every
Benny,
institution.
Let me narrow it. Let me narrow it. Okay. And I'm not mocking the president. I'm just trying to fit in the frame. You have to do things that are right. You have to be about something that's better than what you oppose. And you can't just point out what's wrong with them all the time, because all that does is make people who already agree with you angry.
I'm glad
That's
you
all
said
I'm
that.
saying. And that's
I'm
why
glad
I
you
have
said
you
that.
on this show. But
I'm
I
glad
got
you said
to
that, Chris.
jump, Benny.
Really quickly, I want to state something for the record. Since we had this conversation, allow me to have the last word. Thank you.
Sure.
I want to say something for the record. You saying that we have to prove somehow that we're better than them. Well, let me say right now, for now until eternity, you will not find me or any of my cohort or Charlie Kirk ever calling for violence, asking for violence, wishing for violence on anyone, but especially our political opposers, especially those on the other side of politics. Never. We will never cross that line. I don't cross that line. I will never associate with anybody who crosses that line. That is not a foundational principle of the right. It is a foundational principle of the left. You can see it in droves right now. It's grotesque, evil, and demonic behavior. I disavow it, and I hope that you do too, Chris.
Of course I do. Of course. That's why I have you on, Benny. All right. I am sorry for your loss. I wish your family safety, and I know this is a hard time. You're always welcome here, Benny, and I'm always a call away. All right? God bless and take care of yourself. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. What is the answer? The answer is not saying that they suck, and here's 100 reasons. I'm telling you it's how we got here. I think my next guest is one of the best faces of hope in this country. He's from Texas. He's a Democrat. I thought he was going to run for higher office, and he just announced he is. When you listen to James Talarico, you will see that there can be hope in leadership in America. That's a big sell. Let's see if I'm right. Charlie Kirk in the casket, Air Force Two, the Vice President of the United States and his wife with Charlie Kirk's family, bringing the body home in Arizona. Is this unusual? Yes. But Charlie Kirk mattered to the President of the United States. And we live in unusual times, and this is a show of respect that perversely is a source of pride for some people and pissing others off. What do we do about the division, or can anything be done? There is a Democrat in Texas who's a state representative, a young man, former teacher, seminary student, who is wildly impressive to me because of his decency and his diligence of study and his delivery. Now, he, like Charlie Kirk, was driven by faith. He believes, and is running now for Senate in Texas, he believes this can be done better. and I want to bring him in right now. Representative Talarico, congratulations on deciding to run. I look very forward to talking to you during your race and covering your race. Now, I was just getting lit up during the commercial by a dear friend of mine who is completely contemptuous of this administration. And they were saying what I've heard again and again and again since Kirk's death. How can you not blame him for his death with all of the horrible things he said? This is what Trump and MAGA and Kirk are about. This is what they make happen. What do you say to the brothers and sisters on the left who are saying that today?
Yeah, I think it's disturbing to say the least, and it is unacceptable in a democracy or in a decent society, and it's wrong, and I disavow it in the strongest of terms. And I think it's important you were trying to point this out in your previous conversation, important to understand how this kind of politics, where we dehumanize each other, where we forget that we all bear that sacred image, that kind of politics is what got us here, where we have a political assassination of a prominent figure on the right. And 3 months ago, when there was an assassination of an elected official on the left. And that political violence is unacceptable in America. I think what we have to do is have a serious conversation about what produces political violence, because I think we all condemn it. And Benny condemned it in the previous interview. I condemn it here. You've condemned it as the host. That's easy to do. I think what we've all got to recognize is how our thoughts and our words kill each other every day. And I don't mean to equate thoughts and words and actions. What I mean to say is that our thoughts become our words, which then become our actions. And it's important that we are more mindful of what's happening in our own hearts in our politics.
So, James, here's the challenge. Thoughts become things. You are right. The mood in your party right now on the national level may well listen to what you just said, say, this guy is smart, he's good looking, he's cogent, but he is soft, and we need to be tough. What beat us was the nasty, the vicious, the aggressive. And that's what we have to do. And that's why Newsom is mocking Trump all the time, and they love it. Are you concerned that you, at your best, are not what your party thinks it wants to be?
And Chris, it's important to remember that I think both parties want that because the systems that we're in, that we're all trapped in, a broken political system, a broken media system, a broken economic system, all of these incentivize the worst from all of us. First up, your previous interviewers, having known Charlie Kirk and was his friend, is obviously living through something unimaginable right now. Scripture says God is close to the brokenhearted, and I certainly hope God is close to Benny and all of the people who knew and loved Charlie Kirk. And so instead of trying to figure out, whose side is to blame, I think what's more helpful is to figure out how are the systems that we're all operating within encourage these kinds of harmful thinking and acting toward each other. That is probably the harder question, but maybe the more important question, because I do think, this is my hot take, that all people are good at their core. I do believe that. People do bad things all the time, of course, sometimes really horrific things, but there is a goodness there that if it's called out by a parent or by a teacher or by the system that they're operating within, that goodness can prevail. But I think a lot of the systems that we're in right now are calling out the worst from all of us, and we're all guilty to some degree or another of that. The last thing I'll say to answer your question more directly, before I was a politician, I was a middle school teacher. I often say that if you want a leader who can balance being tough and being compassionate, a middle school teacher is probably the person you're looking for. I believe that love is actually a lot stronger than violence, than hate, than fear. It may sound weak to some people, but love is the most powerful force in the universe. And I've seen that in my own life. I was born to a single mom who fled an abusive situation, built a whole new life for me and for her without money, without a home, without a college degree. I mean, she protected me and gave me the life I have. And so I know that love is not weak. I know that love is not passive. Love is not neutral. It is the strongest force in the universe. And that's important to remember in this conversation that we're all having.
Young brother Talarico, I hope for you that what it takes to win doesn't change what makes you a winner. I am very impressed by you. I'm going to keep covering what you do politically, and you always have a place to make the case on this show. Thank you for taking the time and the opportunity.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll talk again. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. He's in his 30s, and I think he's going to be a big part of the conversation for a long time in this country. Final thought next. You know, I couldn't get a lot of people on the show tonight because they're afraid. And now I was just talking to Benny, and he is concerned that I am making him part of the problem. That couldn't be less true. I don't care if you like what he says or he doesn't like what he says. I think Benny's coming from a good place, and he just lost one of his closest friends, and his family is scared. And I added to that. I have Benny on this show because he has a powerful base with a lot of people who matter in this country. And he is here to make the case, and he is welcome to make the case. And I think he is part of what makes our system rich. And the idea that he now has to be concerned about whether or not your feelings about him will kill him and his family, and that I'm part of that, I want nothing to do with that. I wish him all good things. And if you want to get to Benny, you go through me. Leland Vittert picks up our coverage right now.
Yeah, stunning, Chris, how many friends of mine have called me over the past 24 or 36 hours and said, do you worry about your safety, meaning mine and Rachel's, my wife's? And I thought to myself, I did when I was in Ukraine, when I was in Libya, when I was in Egypt, when I was in Gaza, Israel. You never thought you'd have to worry about it here in America.
I guess. I mean, I'm a little bit more cynical on this one than you are. I also ask for it a lot more than you have, so I get a lot more death threats. I get a lot more people.
Antifa came after me in 2020.
I remember. But, you know, look, I mean, that's actually more real, right? That's a real organization, even though they say they're not one thing. But for me, it's just, you know, big mouths. But I got to tell you, it bothers me that Benny Johnson has reason to worry. And I certainly would never add to that. I get that it's a sensitive time.
I'll add
He
one
just
more to
lost
that.
his friend.
I think it should bother all of us that anybody worries. Anybody has to worry for what they say, for being part of the conversation.
100%. I mean, look, that's why I don't care what this guy's motive was. I don't like jumping his motive and saying that, you know, just assuming what he must be about. But it also doesn't matter. Either murder is okay or it is never okay. And if you're going to say it's never okay, then his motive is irrelevant unless there's a trial.
Thoughtful.
And it's
Good
just
point.
wrong. And,
Yeah,
and there is no, but Charlie said, but Chris said, but Charlie said, no, there is no but, because it's either wrong or it isn't wrong.
Well, and I think we all agree just how wrong it is.